I just watched Across the Spiderverse and found 6 lessons. Warning, this video will contain spoilers. Starting with lesson 1. Your actions affect others. At the end of the last movie, Miles Morales destroys the Super Collider and returns all the other Spider-Man back to their realities and destroys the Super Collider. Find out Across the Spider-Verse that one of the scientists was in the room when it blew up. And it turned him from being just a regular man. And it affected him, it changed him. It took away his normal human features and turned him into a white humanoid shape with black spots on him. And he calls himself the Spot. And he ends up being the villain of this movie. You don't understand, Miles Morales didn't understand this happened, but because he was in that room and Super Collider explosion affected him, and he lost his job because of his changes, his family shunned him, he can't find work, and so he turns to ability to support himself. He didn't know how his actions had affected others. What I want to focus on is the actions that we take, whether they're good or bad, affect others, whether or not we realize it. And it can be for the good or for the bad. And so while we can't predict it, every action will affect everyone else. It does give us more compassion towards others. Because people do things, they make choices, and it may unintentionally affect our lives. 2. Bad things happen. You see that his ability to create holes in reality so he can teleport. Eventually he gets powerful enough that he's able to teleport across to other universes. And so Miles Morales and this secret group of interdimensional Spider-Man, I guess you could say, they work together. They end up working to try to find the Spot, and the Spot slips away. But in the process, Miles learns about canon events. So with canon events, they're so important that if they don't happen, if something gets in the way, such as a being from another reality, interferes with that canon event, then it can unravel and destroy that whole reality. For Spider-Man, the traumatic death of a loved one is part of what makes him, or her, I guess, Spider-Woman too, who they are. He ends up learning that his dad is supposed to die. It's a canon event. The leader of the interdimensional Spider-Man knew that if Miles knew, he would try to escape, but they couldn't avoid telling him. Miguel, the leader of these interdimensional Spider-Men, warns Peter that in order to save the billions of people within that universe from fading, from the reality being destroyed, he has to let his father die. But Miles doesn't want to accept it, and Miles does try to escape so he can go save his dad. It's this big old chase, and in the middle of it, Miles' mentor, Peter, from the first movie, finds him, and he has a conversation, and he explains that bad things happen. It's a part of life. There's death and suffering and pain, and it's how it goes. But it's the painful experiences that make us who we are. They can turn us into a hero, to a more compassionate person, or they can be the beginning of our villain story. But after explaining that bad things happen, Peter then teaches lesson 3, and that's good things happen too. In life, life isn't just pain and suffering and hurt, but there's also good things. Light and life and love and friendship and relationships are all what make life bearable, what make life good. Lesson 4, you aren't alone. Now, if we go back to the beginning of the story, Across the Spiderverse isn't just about Miles Morales. Although he is a central figure, one of the main characters is Gwen Stacy. And all throughout the movie, we see that Gwen Stacy struggles with the death of her best friend, Peter Parker, who for a long time was her only friend, until she met Miles. You see her struggle with the feeling of aloneness until she becomes a part of this interdimensional group of Spider-Men. But she's so scared to lose it and be alone again. But by the end of the movie, Gwen comes to realize that she isn't alone. She has Miles as a friend, and she wants to help him. She wants to be loyal to her friends just as they're loyal to her. And so I think that is a wonderful lesson, is that no matter how alone you feel, you really aren't alone. There are people around you who love you and who care for you. Now, one of the best parts of Across the Spiderverse is seeing all the different variations of Spider-Man. In the infinite multiverse, there's an infinite amount of different kinds of Spider-Man. Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, Spider-Cats. It's insane. Any possible version of Spider-Man that you can think of, there is. And so I was looking at that and I realized that's the same for us. I don't know if there's a multiverse, but what there are is an infinite possibilities of you. You could go and be a doctor, a lawyer, in the army. You could go different ways in politics, religion, whatever it is. What do you want to be? I think that's such a powerful lesson, is that you can be who you want to be. And there's not just one possible you. You're not just stuck as you. There's an infinite versions of you, which I think brings us really wonderfully into lesson 6. Write your own story.
Throughout the entire movie, Miles really struggles with being told that this is how he has to live his life. He has to stay in Brooklyn so to be with his parents, when what he wants to do is go to New Jersey and study the physics program. And something I didn't mention about canon events is that the canon event is what the universe wants. It is what the universe wrote. And if it doesn't happen, then the universe fades. It unravels and it disappears. Everyone in it dies. So the canon events have to happen. Otherwise, it's a danger to the billions of people who live in that universe. And so with Miles finding out that his story was written so that his dad dies, he couldn't accept it, that he couldn't save his dad and the billions of people. He was going to change his story. Ends up escaping Miguel because he will not be controlled anymore. He was going to control his own destiny. No one is holding a gun to your head and saying, you have to be religious, you have to be a doctor. There's no one doing that. You get to choose your own story. You get to choose who you are, what you do in this life. You can choose to be a kind person, or you can choose to be very angry and miserable. The choice is yours. So what are you going to choose? If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button to help me get more subscribers than Jake from State Farm. And put in the comments the name of a movie that I should do next. Have a great day. Peace.